Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you.
Do we have a minute?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming. We're just going to open with a couple opening statements, and then we'll open for questions. Thanks.
Start now? Is it noon?
Okay.
Thanks for coming. Exciting day. So when I got here, I had a bias where I thought, you know, if you have an ex-player and he's a really good player, and now all of a sudden they're coaches, what are the chances you'd be a great player, a great person, or a great coach? And I remember walking in and meeting Roddy, and I was a little intimidated. He looks a little mean. I remember the way he played, and I you know, through this process, as you get to know him and see the way he interacts with other people, how committed he is to his job, the way the players feel about him, the way the other coaches, the staff, probably the best asset we had when we got here, and I didn't know it when we started. So as we've gone through this process, he sort of, everything I think the world should be, everything I think about the way people should act, the way people should treat other people, and the way they should lead, this man does it. You know, we've talked to other people, and it would be hard for me to interview somebody who I hadn't been around and hadn't met people that they've spent a lot of time with and had a chance to be with every day. So it was going to be difficult for anyone to impress me the way Roddy has. I haven't been this impressed by many people in my life, and I think we're really, really lucky, very fortunate, and I'm extremely excited. And I think some of the issues that we've had that we wanted to fix, that I thought were going to take some time, it got a lot faster today, for sure. So, Rod Brind'Amour. Thank you.
You want Don to go? Want me to go?
There you go.
You got me?
Thanks, Tom. Oh, that was pretty nice. We're sitting in the back room, and he was just going to wing it, and I can't wing it. So, personally, just want to thank everybody for being here, taking time out of your day to be here. Wasn't really sure who would all show up, so it would have been a tough first day if no one would have been here. So, thank you for coming. Obviously, got to start by thanking the Carolina Hurricanes and obviously Tom and Don for, I guess, trusting me with this huge responsibility, and one that I'm obviously up for. You know, responsibility to, in my opinion, kind of take their vision and their plan and push it forward with the team and the organization. And I know it's a huge opportunity, a huge challenge, but one that I feel real confident that I can do. I want to also thank my family and my friends. I've met a ton of people over the years, been in this league 28 years, and the last day and a half, the amount of support that I've received from players, former players, current players, staff, administration, people that I've met over the years, the support they've shown me gives me a lot of confidence to sit up here today, to knowing that I can do this. So, without further ado, I just want to say thank you, and I'm looking forward for this challenge. It's an honor and a privilege to work for you, and I think we're going to do great things.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And then, and as you guys read, we also sort of made official what has been happening for a while here. You know, met Don through the sale process. We've probably talked every day for lots. And we worked on the business initially, wasn't on the hockey side. As I met people in the industry, I found that he's got deep relationships and knowledge and experience, and he has a temperament to sort of slow me down, and has the ability to get us information, as I want lots of input. And Don's been a great facilitator for us, and I feel very fortunate he was here, and that he's going to be a huge help in helping us accomplish some of the things we've talked about that we need to do. So, Don, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, thanks, Tom. Obviously, big day for Hurricanes for lots of reasons, particularly for the announcement of Rod. We all know Rod as a player, as a person, and he's a great hockey person, but he's even a better person, and I think that's important for everybody in this room and for this community. But as Tom said, Tom took over in January and started immediately assessing the organization, and he's been true delight, even though some of the phone calls get long at night, but he's got a real passion for it, and that's what really interests me in being here and being in this role, to try to continue to help move this franchise going forward, because when you have ownership that's involved, as Tom is, and not only he's put a lot of money into this franchise, to buy it and to run it. He's got the passion, and he's been here every week. He lives in Dallas, but he's been here every week, I believe, since he bought the team for days on end. So it's a privilege to work with Tom, and really looking forward to continue this franchise moving forward with Rod at the helm.
Okay, we'll open for questions. We have microphones, wireless mics on each side. Just raise your hand. Go ahead, Jeff.
Hey, Rod, congratulations.
Thanks, Jeff.
Once you retire as a player, you try to figure out what you're going to do in the afterlife. When did coaching kind of enter your mind as a possibility?
Well, when I played, I figured I didn't want to get into coaching. I'd done enough and been down there, and actually, I remember asking Jim at the time, put me upstairs with you, and he kept pushing me down here. Maybe, I don't know, he didn't like me up there, but when I get down there, it's the closest thing to playing. It's you're not on the ice. Sometimes I wish I could still get out there, but you're in the fight. You're in the fight with the guys, and I felt like it's something I have a passion for, and the more I got into it and the more that I kind of did this and got on the sidelines of it, I felt like I wanted to take a chance on taking charge and doing it the way I think it should be done. And when the opportunity came up, I stuck my neck out, and here we are.
Mark, go ahead.
Rod, tell me if I'm making too much of this. When you got traded here in 2000, you were very much a Philadelphia Flyer, but now 18 years later, your family has been raised here, you're a Carolina Hurricane through and through. For another person, this may have just been a job. Does it feel more like a mission to you to get this team back?
That's pretty much it in a nutshell. I think, a lot of guys, it's not a knock against anyone that came in here and coached before. There's a profession, and it's a coaching profession, and that's their job. This is obviously a job, but it means more to me. This is my town. I live here. I feel like I'm a connection to this community. The support that I've always received here from day one. As a player, I can look back, and there was so many years even where I had terrible years, and it never felt like they didn't want me around. And I feel like I was a small part in building this team to what we had. I got here, like you said, I think we were the Hurricanes weren't at the top of the mountain, let's put it that way. And I kind of saw us build and grow and do it the way the Hurricanes did it, which was accountability and dependability and bringing in good people. I don't know that we were the best players, but we were constantly bringing in good people, and it rose us to the top. And for whatever reason, things have kind of gone the other way. And I don't know if it's a secret recipe. It's not secret, but I know that there's a way to do it right. And sitting with Tom and Don these last few weeks, it's been a pleasure just to hear the way that they think. It's the same. They want good people in spots. They push people. They expect they have high expectations, which I think is huge. I think for whatever reason, our expectations have fallen a little bit here. And we need to raise those. And so when everything we talk about, that's the goal here. And it's really exciting to have that backing, at least for now. And, look forward to it.
Rod, usually there's an assessment that happens when a new coach comes in. There's an assessment of all the players. Obviously, that doesn't have to happen here. So part one, what is it that this team needs that it doesn't have right now? And then secondly, also, you're one of the assistants. What the other assistants, do you envision keeping them? And obviously you'll have another spot if they'll have any decisions been made with that.
Yeah, well, I mean, the first order of business is going to be to get the best staff possible, and I think we do have it. Like, I think I look at Steve Smith, and I know I have a great relationship with him. He's a winner. He knows what it takes to win, and all the things I just talked about, that's what he's about. And, you know, we have Mike Bales, our goalie coach. He's also a Stanley Cup winner. He knows what it takes to win. And I'll probably add somebody, and maybe we'll talk about it, you know, to fill in the spots that I think will help me. But the players need, you know, they deserve the best, and we're going to find the best. And so I'm really confident in the staff we already have in place, and I'll look to add something if I need to.
Rod, systematically, how much do you anticipate retaining kind of from what you guys have done in years past, and how much philosophically do you want to change? What's kind of your approach going to be to how the team is going to play?
Well, I think we did a lot of great things, and I think we were coached very well over the last few years. I think I can't tell you how many times we'd come back in the coach's office and go, I don't know what else we could have done. I think there are going to be some tweaks to the system for sure. I think the major difference is obviously going to be, I think we have a lot of guys in that room that they can give more. I think there's more there. I think there's great personalities, great talent, great character, but they didn't produce the way they can produce. And I feel like there's if we can get a little more out of every guy, then we don't have to make any changes, and then we'd be where we need to be. I know we're going to, and we're going to keep trying to get better, but we're going to demand more from our players. I guess that's to the end of the day, and I think they want that.
Tom, can we get the terms of the contract? And with Rod, I have a feeling this is more than just about the money. It's the opportunity that means as much to you.
No. The answer to the first question is no. On the, but he'll be here for 3 years. I can't speak for Rod. One of the things I liked about him is he wanted it, but he didn't need the job. And, you know, we talked a lot about, you know, he's got a good life here. He's well respected, and, you know, the risk that he's taking with his reputation and his legacy is real. And the fact that you have some of those stakes that are maybe different than someone else who would just show up here and could leave and still believes he can do it, knows he can do it, that made me feel good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what else to say about it. I mean, it's a job, but it's not. It means more to me. I think we're comfortable where we landed. If you're talking about a contract, I think Tom's probably more comfortable than me on that, which is fine. But at the end of the day, that's not why I'm here. And I want to help the players we have to get to where I know we can get to, and I think they're going to respond to that. They want to be pushed. There's, like I said before, we have great pieces in the room, and we know that. Everybody knows that, but we're going to have to get more out of them.
I don't know if this is a question for Tom or Don, either one, I guess, but how many other folks did you speak to about this position, and what was it that elevated Rod above the others that you spoke to, whether inside or outside the organization?
I mean, we both talked to people. I'd say, like I said earlier, it was going to be hard for someone to overcome the fact that I've got to see him, got to know him. It was, Don knew people from his history, so he had more insight. Interviews are very difficult, right? Because everybody says mostly the right thing. I mean, anybody that has any common sense can do a pretty good job in an interview. And I trust more, some more concrete information than I felt like we had with Rod. So there's a lot of people want to be NHL head coach, as you can imagine.
No, that's, we did do a thorough search and make sure we didn't miss any potential other opportunities, and it kept coming back as Tom and I talked great length at many hours, that it always came back to Rod. So it was an easy decision once we got to that point.
Rod, what is it to be said for a little continuity here? They've heard your voice before in a different role, and obviously the head coach has a different role, but you've talked about how guys need to get more, some of the guys need to. What kind of direct conversation do you need to have with them, and will you have with them?
Well, I'm going to be who I am. I'm not going to try to change in my personality or anything. I think I have a great relationship with most of the players. If I don't, I will. I mean, that's really, really important. If you want to get the most out of people, you got to, you know, they have to know you care about them. And so my style isn't going to change. And if I start changing, I hope someone will tell me. Because we're all in it together, and that's the feel that I want from the staff, from the players. You know, we have an amazing training staff, we have amazing coaching staff, I feel, and we have some just amazing players, and we just got to figure a way to get it all together and pull them in the right direction. And just like I said earlier, I'm coming into a great situation. We have been coached well. It's just going to be, I mean, a little different, and I think that's all they need, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Rod, I think my question is kind of along the same lines. The responsibility of an assistant coach tends to be different from the head coach, and even though you've got 20 years under your belt as a player, things shift when it's your responsibility ultimately to get through to the players. How do you think you'll have to do some things differently in the new role?
Well, I think what you're kind of asking is what's going to be different. You know, that's what you guys are getting at. And what's going to be different is, and I don't like to, I mean, Bill and I couldn't be more different, and I think that's the key. And I think, and he was great, like I told you. I think we were coached as well and prepared as well as we could have been, but we are totally on opposite spectrums. I think in the NHL today, you see basically two types of coaches. You have the guys that played, and I'm one of those. I guess I'd be in that category, and you know, and then you have the guys that didn't play, and they've worked as hard, if not harder, than the guy that played, to study the craft and to be able to talk the craft and teach the craft. And I think I've kind of combined both worlds here. I feel like almost in an apprenticeship the last 4 years, looking at the game totally different. You know, I do think, and someone brought it up to me, that the last 7 Stanley Cups have been won by player coaches, guys that played, that are coaching now. So I think that's still a pretty successful way to do it. And had you asked me 4 or 5 years ago, could I do this job? I'd say yes, but I'm telling you, I'm way better prepared now. Having kind of that coaches teach, if you want to call it, just better prepared and a different way to look at it. So I'm combining kind of both. So very grateful for that opportunity, and I think it's going to better prepare me moving forward.
Rod, you've got, I might have missed somebody, but I see Justin was the only player I can see in the room. Obviously a former teammate of yours. How important is a guy like him that you could tell it was hurting him last year that the team was underperforming, and what role does he play with you as head coach?
Well, I mean, there's no secret. I think the world of Justin as a player, as a person, first and foremost. He's what he is at Hurricane. He's what we are all about. He's a quality person. He's a quality dad, father. Yeah, sorry, I guess that's the same thing. But you know what? He's if we had 20 of them, we'd be slow, right? We'd be slow. but we would win. We would win. And so, I can't say enough good things about him. I guess maybe I have to watch it now as I'm the coach, and you can't have favorites. But he is one of my favorites, and so and there's an obvious reason. He's put in the work. He's a champion. There's not much more he can do, and he does it every day. And that's the kind of leader that we need in that room, and we have it, and we're very lucky.
And a quick follow-up, and I'm not trying to demean the captaincies from last year, but would that be a possibility that you would place him in that role?
Well, he was our leader, so we get hung up on letters and A's, and we need lots of leaders in that room. And I just keep going back, and a lot of people don't want to talk about the past and this and that, but that's where I'm drawing all my experience from. And when we were good here, we had a bunch of guys that could lead, and it didn't matter who was wearing a C or an A. And everyone has to be a leader in that room, and obviously it starts at the top. And now we have great leadership from the top, and the message is the same. It's accountability, and it's going down the chain, and it gets to the coach, and the coach can say, hey, that's not how we do it here, and everyone's got my back on that decision. And so it's going to filter through to the group, and I think that's how you be successful, and that's how we were successful in the past.
Tom, you talked about having concrete information to make the decision on Rod. Was it the same with Don in making a final determination that Don would be your GM? And then maybe, Don, this is better for you to answer, having been a GM before, but is this structure different than what you experienced in Atlanta?
So the answer to your question is yes, and I can't speak for Don.
Well, the structure for sure is much different than Atlanta. We were owned by 9 individuals in Atlanta, and I had multiple 9-time bosses. Here, we all know who the boss is, and respect them for that. So a much different situation. And you know, again, ownership in Atlanta, they treated me great, but it was a total different structure. You know, they had the NBA team along with the NHL team. Here you have an individual that's, like, as I said before, very passionate about the game, about what we're doing here. So having the direct day-to-day contact as we have, I think helps all of us understand where we want to get to, how we're going to get there. And then, you know, Tom, one thing that we haven't talked about here is the collaboration and process. You know, this is going to be done by a group of people. We have very, very good people. I got very good staff on the business side that's done a great job and continuing to move forward. And on the hockey side, we got a lot of good people, and it's going to be, you know, not one person's going to sit there and make a decision. We're going to have a process in place, and there'll be the collaboration of the group. And at the end of the day, somebody has to make that final decision, and we'll move forward with it. So, yeah, much different situation when you're dealing with a particular one person that's involved, as Tom is.
Tom, when you were here in January being introduced, one of the things that you said was that you were going to look at every corner of the organization, evaluate it, and move forward from there. But one of the things that stood out was the fact that you said, you know, you came in being a disruptor, basically. And at this point, with the staff that you've put together, both the guys on the stage with you and the other front office folks, are you comfortable with where you are in relation to where you thought you would be when you said that in January?
Yeah, you know, look, I think what Roddy alluded to is right. The culture here wasn't where it needed to be, and Rod wasn't in charge, and I wasn't in charge in January. And you know, I try to judge people by what I want to compete with them. Could they beat me? You know, if we took on a challenge, whatever it is, a business, a ping pong game, it doesn't matter. I don't lose much, but I wouldn't want to go against him in anything. And so the culture is going to change because we're going to change it. And bringing in 100 new people or one, you should get the same result if that one's special. So I think we've got someone special here, and I know I can do it. I've done it, and I know he can do it because he's done it. So we're not going to cut all the players and get new players and think that makes you better. We're going to go through each person and see, can we make them better, or do we need to find somebody better? But it's, you know, it's sort of cliche to think that you're going to come in and just make change for change's sake. I think that would be silly. But there were places that needed to change, and I think we've changed some of them. And now there's some processes that need to change that we're changing.
Just to follow up, how far down that road? Don't necessarily give a number, but from where you are right now, from where you were in January to where you want to be, how far down that road are you?
Well, it depends on how if he's right that the players, that he can get more out of these players than we've gotten out of them in the past, then we're pretty far down the road. We won't know till we see it, right? So the games will start, and we'll see if it looks different. And if it looks different, then we'll know we're pretty far. But I think the NHL is proving that the best players aren't winning all the time, but it's the players that play the best or play the hardest. And I don't know that we can count on having the best players every night for the next 20 years. There's injuries, and everybody's drafting players, and different things happen. But we should be able to have a competitive enough group of athletes that if we get the most out of them, that we should do pretty well. And I feel pretty far down the road on our ability to do that.
This question is for Coach over here. How you doing? Congratulations, first and
Thank you.
foremost. You brought up the fact that you said there's great leadership at the top now, and that will filter down through the bottom when it comes to accountability. And with you being the players coach, that you are, how do you balance that when you see that taking place on the ice, as far as not that effort not taking place that needs to happen, in order for you guys to get to that playoff level and continue to be that players coach that you have been your entire time?
Well, that's the art of being a coach. You have to know your team and know, I guess, the level that you expect out of each player, and if they're not bringing it, then they have to know. And it's not, it's not really that much of a science. It's you can pretty much tell if you're not doing it right. I think the one thing that's gonna help me a lot is you can't fool me, because when you should go out in the shot lane and you kind of get out of the way, I notice that. I've been there. I've probably done it myself once or twice. And so I think that'll get through to the team pretty quick, and the guys want that. Our players want that. They want that, to know that the guy they're lining up beside them is going to get in that lane for them and make that sacrifice. And if they don't, they want to be held accountable because they don't want that guy doing that next time. So that's where I think I'm going to have an advantage because that's the kind of stuff that I see, because I've been there and I've had that. And I don't envision that being a problem for too long.
Question for Tom and a quick one for Rod. Tom, you mentioned in your open that you were biased against thinking that a great player could also be a great coach. Do you think in getting to where you made the decision to hire a great player and hopefully becoming a great coach, it was more being influenced by hockey strategy people convincing you that he had the strategy, or totally blown away more with personality of just convinced he can do whatever job is put in front of him?
Yeah, so I've come to the conclusion that the strategy is pretty overrated, that the things that he brings, and he's very bright. He's in here this morning going through tape. He's a very smart man, and you're going to be biased against his intelligence because he was a player, right? So if somebody made their way through coaching, they must be a great coach because they didn't play. So I have a bias that if he's a great player, he had opportunities, and it turns out he's very bright. But I don't believe the strategy differences are nearly as important as getting the most out of the culture and the attitude, and I think he can do both. But the important one here in this organization is going to be effort, and I think he gives us the best chance at getting the most out of these players.
Thanks. And quick for Rod, is there a plan of succession for your Wake Forest Mites team? I know you had a head coaching job there. Is someone going to take that over? Is there a plan
Check
there?
the record. I'm a little worried.
We haven't won yet, so I don't know. That's they probably don't want me around. But that's another part of it. It's the growth of hockey here since we've come down here has been phenomenal, and the passion that the young kids have, and there is the market here is phenomenal. The people love the Hurricanes, and we just got to give them something to get excited about again, and that's obviously the number one priority.
And I know, Tom, you said there will be changes coming. Rod, you said you're aware that they will be coming too. This question, I guess, is to all three of you. Have those discussions begun among the three of you and others in the organization about the player? And are you on the same page? We're well into May now, about who you feel inclined are keepers, who are guys you might look to replace. Are those discussions going on with all three of you?
Yeah, every day. He's been pretty involved, even if he hadn't become the coach. He was, one of the conversations I had with Roddy 2 months into this deal was, no matter what happens here, out of what I've found is you're going to be around, whether you're upstairs, down here, it doesn't. You're the most impressive thing I've seen, and you live here, you care, you're going to be part of the organization for a long time. We just got to make sure in the things that we go through, for example, him becoming head coach, what happens if you're not head coach anymore? And that was a big concern of mine because I find him I think he's such a huge asset to us. So he has a lot of say in everything we do, and a lot of coaches, the season ends and they go home, and he's in here every day, and going through tape and helping with our scouts, and he's got an opinion, and that's what we're going to be about all year long, looking at these players and seeing what resources can we give them to get better, and then how do we find players that can be better. And we hope that the ones that are here are the best we can find, but like I said last time, if we can find better ones, we'll do it. And that's the hardest part of this business, is you want to invest in these players, but then also know that they're not all going to be here 20 years from now.
Rod, looking back at your playing career, what's one of the biggest lessons you learned that you now hope to implement now as the head coach of this team?
Well, it's kind of what I've already been saying. I think there's no substitute for just compete and consistently doing that consistently and caring about your teammates, and I think that's going to be the message going forward. I think Tom hits it right on the head every time. There is really not a lot of secrets. I mean, you line up every face-off, you're going against a guy, and you got to be better than him. And you do that enough and do that consistently, you're going to have a chance to win every night. And then your talent and your skill that you do have in the lineup, can make plays, take over a game. That's what you're going to do. So if you don't have that foundation and that's not your framework, I think you're running the risk of being unsuccessful. So that's our approach. And you asked me, what have I learned? I learned that you come to the rink every day and you do your job, and you do it with your teammates, and you care about them, and you have a good chance.
Don, this is for you. You had said not even a month ago that you weren't interested in being the full-time permanent GM. What changed over the last 3 weeks, month?
We won the lottery to go to number 2. Tom called me that night and said, "You're the GM." We went through the process. We talked to a lot of people, and Thomas, as you're getting to know Tom, he's got as I've mentioned many times, he's got a big passion for it. And I think at the end of the day, we both met and talked to lots of potential candidates that Tom had asked me about it 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I said, let's just keep with the process and see if we find the right person. And as it went on, we kept talking more about it, and then finally came to the conclusion that that this opportunity was a great one. And obviously, I've been doing I'm running the business side for 4 years, and we feel like that's going in the right direction, and we have great people on that staff. So that was my biggest initially, just to make sure that these are 2 pretty big commitments, but Tom's assured me with his involvement and what we have going on that we'll make sure we have all the support that we need. And so, when we started getting after the last probably candidate that we passed on, it started getting exciting for me. And obviously, I got to be honest, going in the draft and get that second pick was pretty good. So I think right from that point on, I made the commitment that I was all in this, and the only way you can do it, you got to find the time to manage your time and balance your time to make sure that nothing falls through the cracks.
And just to kind of follow up on that, are there any changes to your business side responsibilities, assuming this extra role? I mean, is anything going to be passed on, or is it business as usual, just with some added responsibilities on the hockey side?
Yeah, no, it's business as usual. I met with all my business people the other day, and it's just about time management and creating and making sure you're there. We got very, very good people. People that have been here for a while. We've brought in a lot of new people over the last few years, and we got a great staff. So I'm very confident that we'll keep moving forward in that direction too. And again, I'm fortunate. I'm a little bit older than Roddy. I don't have kids at home. I love coming to the office. I've said since I've been here, there's only 3 days when I've been in town, I didn't come to the office, and I just love coming to the office, and I come in every day, and it's not going to change. So I don't see a problem with it at all. The biggest thing in the hockey side of it right now is being on the phone, talking to other general managers, seeing what's going on around the league. So you can accomplish a lot while you're on the phone. So.
Rod, do you offer a fresh start to guys who were dissatisfied with their role under Bill or under you've been here for a while? Is there a fresh start thing here? Can you offer that even having been here, does your mentality as a coach change enough to say, you know, here's a clean slate, let's see how you do it under me?
Well, that's the way you have to do it every year. And I mean, you can say that, there are a couple players that I think that if they had a bad year or a great year, you wouldn't hold them to that. I mean, I think we know Aho is going to be one of our best players. But if you can't come into the season and just give people stuff. I think we've talked about this a lot. We want to get to the point where you have to earn everything. You earn your ice time, you earn your spot on the power play, you earn your spot in the lineup. And I think, you know, for whatever reason in the past, that's not the way it's been. And that's a huge change for sure that we are going to for sure follow through on.
Thanks, everybody. These gentlemen will be available for one-on-ones. We also have some current former players that are here.